A scant few hours' sleep didn't offer much in the way of refreshment. Had to be at the morgue again in an hour. Not that there was much to do there since the place was robbed. Perhaps a few more cadavers will have arrived. Perhaps Junpei Matsumoto's corpse will be there. I should take this opportunity to take a breath. Not breathe. I want to say rest and a breath. Take a breath. Been a while since life slowed down like this. No requests coming through for Corpse Girl. No bodies to haul around town with Tomoe. No cadavers to catalog at the morgue. Life should be good. I'm still alone. And Noriko may decide to discard me at any moment. Why does that make me want her more? Do I want to prove my worth, my value? Prove to her that I'm worth keeping around? Don't know. Doesn't matter in the long run. After brewing myself a cup of coffee using the French press Tomoe gifted me, I take a seat in my chair. Sitting alone in the darkness is somewhat depressing, but it's only temporary. I won't be alone forever. Soon Noriko will sit here with me. We'll be together in darkness. I'll make her see my worth. I'll make her love me the way that I love her. I'll make her fill the void that Shizuko left in my life. I'll make her treat the gnawing pain in my insides. I'll make her save me from falling into despair, from falling into old habits. Noriko will save me from myself, just like Shizuko once did. I take a sip of my coffee. It's still a little hot, and it scalds the gap in my mouth where my tooth once was. It hurts. But I'll be okay. Soon. Well, that's how that goes. It's hard to hide a smile when plans unfold perfectly. The body was here, waiting for me when I arrived at the morgue. Staring down at the pallid corpse of Junpei Matsumoto fills me with more satisfaction than I thought possible. The dog is dead. My early morning encounter with his executioner wasn't just some fever dream born from wishful thinking. His body is riddled with stab wounds, deep, clean, piercing cuts. But these injuries were not inflicted by a knife. I'm no forensic pathologist, but the wounds are too thin and too deep. Each intrusion is about the width of a chopstick. Doubt he was killed by chopsticks, though. Though you could never rule out anything. Everything. Anything? What? My gaze pans down his body, looking for anything of interest. The rest of his form looks ordinary. Nothing to note. I unzip the body bag for now. I zip up the body bag for now and return him to his allocated cold chamber. Might take him out once in a while to have a laugh. As I raise the zipper covering his legs and groin, I have to shift his arms to fit them within the HRP. And then I flinch, and my hands instinctively react from the cadaver. I'm used to ice-cold touch of the body fresh from the containment chamber, the sensation of lifeless, preserved flesh. Thus, it wasn't the sensation of touch that caused me to startle. It was the sight of something out of the ordinary, something I'd somehow missed during the initial observation. Junpei's fingers. 5 thick, meaty digits on each hand. 10 perfectly intact, dead, but otherwise healthy fingers. It was only days ago that I pierced 2 of his fingers, his thumb and his pointer finger, using cheap metal cutlery. I can't forget the distinct feeling of plunging those implements through flesh and bone, pinning his fingers to a table. The corpse before me shows no evidence of ever being injured in such a manner. Nobody can heal wounds like that without medical attention. Even then, stitches and scars will remain. But Junpei Matsumoto's digits are 100% intact and puncture-free.
Interesting.
Come to think of it, didn't I snap another few of his fingers in half that time I confronted him outside his apartment? I'm sure I did. Crushed the bones with my own fist. With his corpse's hand didn't show signs of that either. Normal to the touch, no visible bruising. On the whim, I pull out my phone and open Noise. I navigate to Junpei Matsumoto's profile. Load a few profile images, swipe through them one by one. I put my phone right next to Junpei's head, comparing the similarities between Junpei's photo and this dead body. Everything becomes clear immediately. Certain elements of Junpei's features don't match. His nose is broader in photos, his lips are thinner, more taut. The corpse in front of me is not Junpei Matsumoto. It's a copy. A clone. Junpei Matsumoto's death was faked for our entertainment. The body lying on the ground in front of the Herald was planted there before we arrived, planted to convince us that Junpei had met his maker. The Herald did not kill Junpei. The Herald simply used one of the corpse girl's tricks and produced a carbon copy body. All in order to fool myself and Noriko. As this revelation settles in my mind, I come to another conclusion. The morgue being robbed was no coincidence. I can almost guarantee that the cadaver used to replace Junpei's death was stolen from this very place. A weapon of deception stolen and turned against us. And the morgue was targeted before Noriko even requested Junpei's death. Almost as if the Human Removal Service predicted Noriko's movement in advance. Is that even possible? All I know for sure is that the dog is still out there, still skulking around, working for his master. This is starting to get interesting. I concur. August 8th, Saturday afternoon.
Okay, I think I'm up to date. I guess it was a good thing you decided to prod and poke Junpei's corpse, as you put it.
Guess so.
I thought you were just being your usual morbid self. taking corpses for your own use, whatever that may be.
Don't know what to tell you.
Well, I'm glad you acted. Faking Junpei's death. What's their end goal? What did they really accomplish by pulling such a stunt?
There's a million possible answers to that question. Can't know the real truth, not
Obvious
yet.
answer would be that they wanted to deceive us. Make us think we have the upper hand.
I came to the same conclusion. They think they've fooled us, but we know better. Can we use that to our advantage?
Don't know.
Sometimes you're helpful, and other times you're just...
What?
Never mind.
Okay.
It irritates. It irritates her when I withhold my thoughts. Sometimes I act like this just to elicit a reaction from her. She's cute when she's pissed
I
off.
don't know what we should do next. We're kind of at a dead end, right?
Kind of.
Corpse Girl's website has gone silent. No one is requesting deaths anymore. But if I'm to believe the news, there are still dozens of people being killed all around the city. Which means the human removal service is still as active as ever.
With as many people dying, this would... You're not going to have any people in your town anymore.
Don't beat yourself up.
They need some eye drops.
Don't have any cadavers at the morgue anyway. Can't exactly fulfill any requests.
True.
She sighs and rubs her eyes. Despite her tired, exhausted appearance, she's dealing with the recent events rather well. Noriko, at any rate.
Can you let me know when the morgue starts filling up again?
Sure. Hang on. There is one body there. Fake Junpei.
Yeah.
Not much use, though, I suppose.
No, not really. Keep me updated.
Okay.
She rubs her eyes again and tries to hold
You look
back a yawn.
correct.
Sorry. Things are tough right now.
It'll get better. You'll cause some deaths soon enough.
My words have the strange effect of actually cheering her up slightly. I know we're not exactly the most normal people. The things we do, the causes we devote ourselves to. They are wrong. There's no other way to put it. I know this. I trust that Noriko knows this as well. We're morbid, sick, disgusting. Noriko slaughters innocent people in the name of Corpse Girl, her fabricated idol, an alter ego, or whatever else she could be. As for me, I've got as much blood on my hand as Noriko does. She likes to believe she's innocent, but the truth is that she's just as guilty as any killer. I don't see myself the same way. I know for a fact the things I've done are enough to put me behind bars for the rest of my life. I don't try to convince myself that I'm something I'm not. I'm a criminal, plain and simple. But Noriko is a kindred spirit. We're connected on some level that I don't expect the average person to understand. We're bonded by the things we've done, the death we've witnessed. Looking at her now, this tired girl worn within by stress. I can't help but be reminded of Shizuko. I messed up with Shizuko. I didn't take the time we had together seriously. I took it all for granted. I won't make the same mistake with Noriko. I'll make her mine, and I'll prove my love to her every day. Perhaps that will convince her to not discard me when I've run out of
Want
use.
something to eat?
She glances at me and opens her mouth, but waits her words before
Thanks,
speaking.
but you know me.
I know.
Of course I know. I know so much about her. She doesn't eat, not unless she absolutely has to in order to live for another day.
Something light? A salad? I want to share a meal with you.
I can't.
Okay. I understand.
I do. I get it. It's Noriko. Her convictions are what I admire most about her. What would it say of her character if I could break her conventions with a simple
We
invitation?
should get married.
Huh?
A few days ago, you said you'd be mine.
I told you something like that, yeah. But that had a condition. You had to kill Junpei.
See. She's right. I didn't manage to kill him. Does that mean I don't deserve her?
Maybe there's something else I could do? Let me prove that I'm a man you can love.
I'll think about it.
Okay.
I'll take that. It's better than an outright no.
Maybe you should get going for now. I need to sleep.
Okay.
I'll leave her be. Should get some sleep
Later.
myself.
Bye, Kojiro.
Something about the way she says my name sends a chill down my spine. It's not a pleasant sensation. It's not a feeling of elation or excitement. It's uncomfortable, disconcerting. I shrug it off and leave the factory. I have an uncannily vivid recollection of dragging Shizuko's corpse through the streets on the night she was killed. I had witnessed the collision. I watched, speechless, as the asshole who ran her down drove away like a coward. Okay, so he didn't kill her at least. It took me a while to gather the strength to collect her crumbled body from the asphalt. By then it was around 7 o'clock, the sun had set, but a sliver of light still peeked over the horizon, tinting the sky with an orange hue. People kept screaming at me. Wasn't doing anything wrong, wasn't trying to smear Shizuko's blood on the sidewalk. Just wanted to take her home. She was hurt or dead, no point leaving her in the middle of the road. She didn't comment on my suit, got all dressed up just for her. Didn't comment on the ring, even as I slipped it on her still stiff finger. She didn't say a word about the size of the diamond. But she made a unique sound as we walked. It rings in my ears then and then. Now and then, especially when I catch myself in quiet moments. Didn't know what it was at the time. It punctured the silence between my heavy footsteps. Turns out the sound was caused by the fabric of her dress stretching and ripping against the coarse texture of the sidewalk. She made that sound for the entire journey home. My footsteps, thud, thud, Shizuko, shh, people screaming. The cacophony of irritating noise assaulted me. Okay. The cacophony of irritating noise assaulted us during the entire expedition. Sounds didn't rear its head until we arrived at our destination. It wasn't easy getting her up the stairs to my apartment. I'd carried her in my arms dozens of times, always effortlessly, but during that final ascent, Shizuko's weight exceeded the limit of my muscles. Had no choice but to drag her up, slowly, a single step at a time. It wasn't my fault her head cracked against every step. Once we were inside, I finally had the opportunity to examine the damage. Her limbs were flattened, her chest had caved in, ribs crushed, and ground into a fine dust. Remarkably, her beautiful face remained unmarred. She looked at peace, despite having died in pure agony not long before. That was the last time I kissed her. I planted my lips on hers and found comfort in the slight warmth that still remained. Then I closed her eyes. Okay, now she's in your closet. My memory of that event is so clear that thinking about it feels like I'm reliving it again for the first time. The pain hasn't dulled, and I'm glad I don't live in the apartment anymore. Climbing those steps every day would only serve to remind me of dragging Shizuko behind me. I cut myself free from the chains that shackled me to her, but I can never destroy the memories. I think they'll haunt me to the end of my days. Perhaps that's why I'm so desperate to fill the void she left in my life. I'm desperate to distract myself from the love from another. And yet, at that time, I didn't want to let her go. I wanted to hold her cold, lifeless corpse to my body and simply waste away so I could join her in the afterlife. In fact, I was so attached to her corpse that I did something I'd never done before, not once in all my history of toying with dead bodies. I decided to keep her. I'm right! She's in the closet! Don't know whether it was out of despair or depression or desperation. Don't truly know why I decided to do such an odd thing. Possessed by a single disturbing idea, I emptied out the small storage closet in that old apartment, discarded everything within, and then I carefully, delicately, lovingly placed Shizuko inside the dark space. She stood up against the wall almost casually, almost like she was alive. I held her in place with some ropes fastened to the wall, a loop around her neck and a few bindings around her waist. She sagged a little, but it wasn't overly noticeable. It's quite noticeable. There Shizuko stood before me. Though her gaze was lowered, I could almost fool myself into thinking she wanted to greet me. Or she wanted to simply say goodbye. Goodbye. Something I'd never considered saying to her. But I knew it was time. Time to say goodbye to her and to say goodbye to myself. The me that shared a life with her. The me that lived in shame of the things I'd done. Into that small storage room I piled that evidence of my guilt. All the macabre and sickening paraphernalia I had collected over the years found a new home within the dark space. Photos of corpses, tomes written about embalming and mummification, countless books by Noble Sinclair, that author I held so dearly to my heart. Everything that made up Kojiro found itself inside that room. And with one last look at the girl, I slammed the door and locked it tight. The ceremonial act of locking away everything I once loved had a cathartic effect. But the moments after that aren't as clear in my mind. I know that I sealed up the room and concealed the door, but I don't recall the efforts that went to doing so. I know that I decided to leave the apartment. Okay, so she's not in this closet. That's the smell they get in the other room. Oh gosh, hold on. I gotta again report someone. And then, if you ever see those when you're in here, if you can deal with them for me, I'd appreciate it. Not required, but it helps. Alright. Okay. I know that I decided to leave the apartment behind, but I don't recall talking to the landlord. I know that I tried to move on from being the person I once was, but I don't know how much I truly changed. Thank you. Because just over a year later, I'm still in this world taking part in truly disturbing acts. I'm still obsessed with the dead, and I'm still fawning over Shizu. Noriko. Maybe people can't change after all. Maybe I've been fooling myself all this time into thinking that I'm different now. But I'm not. I'm the same as I always was. I'm still just Kojiro. Maybe that's okay. I don't think any of you are okay anymore.